You're listening to The Blind Chick, an AfterSight original podcast. We're telling you stories about strength, overcoming hurdles, and living experiences. We see who you really are. Blindness can be an adventure. Are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? We are. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Blind Chick. Jonathan Price here. Man, it is so much fun. We're in the throes of summer. It's hot. It's crazy. Some of us want to stay inside, and I have just the activity for you to do if you're looking to do something fun and tactile inside. Blind speed cubing, doing the Rubik's Cube. Paul Martz is going to be joining us for part 2. And he's got some very interesting techniques and how-tos about doing the Rubik's Cube. So I'm going to turn it over to Penn and Moses, and we're going to get into the second part of Paul Martz. Guys, take it away.
So do you think the tech world is actually doing enough for accessibility? Or what still needs fixing?
Yeah.
It always amazes me that back when the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed, we as a nation took the massive project upon ourselves to put in curb cuts at every single crosswalk, at every single intersection in every city in the United States.
Yeah.
That was a monumental project, and we decided we were going to do it, and we pulled it off. But for some reason, when it comes to accessible websites, and a programmer is just sitting at a desk, not following guidelines and not following standards, and they end up with an unusable POC. Why can't we tackle that with the same zeal and vigor that we did curb cuts? It baffles me.
I agree.
Good point.
Yep.
And if I'm going to a new website 9 out of 10 times, I'm just going to expect that it's going to be inaccessible or a challenge to learn a workflow, non-standard labeling, or login hidden underneath a menu that doesn't use area regions to restrict the focus of the screen reader. Just ridiculous things like that. Yeah. It's so frustrating. And 9 out of 10 times, I'm correct. It's an inaccessible mess.
Absolutely. Many of us would agree with you. And I agree. You know, our world right now revolves around websites, or apps, which is kind of a mobile website, and how even the ones that are supposed to be accessible are not accessible. So
if I can kind of continue on this theme.
Absolutely.
One of the favorite things I like to blog about at AppleViz is I like to find something that's a real accessibility challenge and do a deep dive into it and write a comprehensive blog that helps other blind people use those things.
Yeah.
So some of the examples of blogs that I've written in the past include GarageBand on Mac OS, or using Google Docs as your word processor, or how to edit a website page using the WordPress block editor, how to communicate with Discord. Discord is kind of a social media tool, very popular with gamers, designed by fully sighted gamers. What does that tell you about its accessibility, right? And that kind of ties right in with the Rubik's Cube. For me, that was just one more inaccessible thing that there was not a shred of documentation for. And I said, this is a problem I believe that I can fix. And that's why I took it upon myself as a challenge, really, to learn how to speed cube alongside sighted speed cubers, so that I could understand the process enough to actually write a book that would help other blind people do the same. And my book is called Solve It, the only speed solving guide for blind cubers. So should I continue on? I'm in the zone.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually our next section.
That's the whole point. And that was actually going to be my next question. And everybody's got to get the book. So talk about it.
Great. Oh, where to start? So let me tell you about the book to begin with. It's written in 3 parts. Part 1 is going to tell you, as a person completely new to the Rubik's Cube, what is the Rubik's Cube? It's a cube with 6 sides. Each side has a different color, but it's divided into pieces. And when you rotate the sides, it scrambles and all the colors are messed up.
Yes.
Now you need to figure out how to get it back. Well, as a blind person, you can't see the colors.
That's right.
So the first thing I talk about is where do you get a tactile cube so that you can feel the textures and solve it by matching the textures on a side instead. One real easy way to do that is with bump dots. We use them all the time to mark the start button on our microwave. And if you've got a set of 9 identical ones, then you've got enough for one side of your cube.
Yep.
Now you need 9 identical different ones for the next side and the next and the next. And you can make your own that way. Okay, fast forward.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you. So I was going to ask you about the Rubik's cubes because when I was middle school, high school, my brain worked that way, and I was able to get the pattern down, and it blew away. And I had enough vision at the time, and I got the ones that were with fluorescent colors.
Good job.
And I
Good
could,
job,
and
Penn.
I did, and I think it was really good for my brain, and it was one of the very few ways I could impress sighted people. But my question was, do they actually manufacture them where they're accessible? They do. Okay, because I figured people could come up with ways to make one accessible for themselves. But where do you get one that you could purchase that's already accessible?
So you can just do a web search for Tactile Cube, and you will get shopping results from Google right up there at the top.
Okay.
So
Tactile Cubes.
those are going to be for the commercial mass market, not necessarily designed for Speedcubers. So when you become serious about wanting to solve competitively and get that fastest time, a new store that's just came out is texturecube.com.
Oh, wonderful.
So they start by purchasing a quality, high-speed cube, and then they apply their own tactile markings that they have designed, and then they ship that to you.
Nice.
So there's a couple of different options.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But then once you've got this texture cube, maybe someone gave you one as a Christmas gift and you didn't know what to do with it, and it's sitting there gathering dust. You need my book, right?
Yes.
Because all of the documentation out there, and this is so frustrating, it's videos where if you listen to just the audio track, they're telling you move this from here over to there, and then you turn it like this, and that doesn't help blind people. And even if you buy a printed book, the text will be accessible, but very often they'll refer to images that illustrate the turns rather than spell them out in the text. So your screen reader is not able to make sense of the images because they're often very complex diagrams.
Right.
And so, so my book is 100% text only.
Yay.
And to get around the picture problem, I found that I had to be creative. So I will describe the one side of a cube like the face of a clock. So if you need to move the 12 o'clock piece to the 3 o'clock piece, then you do this set of rotations, and I spell the rotations out in text. When you go to rotate the side of a cube, you can rotate it clockwise, or you can rotate it counterclockwise.
Yep.
If you're rotating it counterclockwise, I show that rotation with a mathematical prime symbol. So an R prime means turn the right side counterclockwise. And most screen readers pronounce the prime symbol. That's good because a lot of the websites that are out there, they write an apostrophe, which most screen readers don't pronounce.
Right.
What else did I do? I made it as accessible as possible. I go back and I read it and I think to myself, blind people can really do this. And it's not just me. I know I sound like I've got a huge ego, right? I wrote a book that works, but
but you did.
But yes, people have actually been emailing me and telling me that they've now used my book to solve the cube, and that really lifts my spirits. I love hearing that.
How many steps are there? I used to know that, but how many are there?
So, good question, and it depends on the method that you're using.
That's true.
So I start out with a beginner method that shows you how to do the bottom edge pieces, then the bottom corners, then the middle edge pieces, then you orient the edges and the corners on the top, and then you position the corners and the edges on the top. So there's the beginner method for you, and it's all done with step-by-step instructions, and it's clear turn-by-turn instructions. This is why I made it an EPUB, actually, so that you can listen to it with a screen reader, and you can use your screen reader navigation commands to read by word or read by sentence to make sure that you're getting each step before you proceed to the next.
That's great, because it is frustrating. Like if it's in like a true audiobook, you have to leave the cube, right? Or I guess you could listen to it on your smart speaker and use your voice, but you'd constantly be going, rewind.
Rewind. And I know that there are going to be some people out there that want audiobook format, and I say more power to you. And let's do it. What I want you to do, if you think this would be great as an audiobook, is please go to the NLS Bard book recommendation form and request this book, because it's only $1.99. I didn't write this to get rich, right? Every copy buys me a fraction of my next latte.
Exactly, a fraction, yes.
So let's make it freely available to every blind person who wants it. Let's get it in the Bard catalog and Bookshare and RNIB if you're in the UK, or Sella if you're in Canada. Please.
Awesome.
And the way we do that is by people like you calling in or emailing in requesting this book. And when the demand reaches a certain threshold, I'm sure they'll be calling me on the phone or emailing me.
That's awesome.
Oh, good idea. Wow. Well, this is a random question, and it's mostly because of AI. So you can't trust anything you see on social media. But the other day I came across a video, and it was a young kid, and he juggled 3 Rubik cubes. And while he's juggling it, he solves all of them so they come out solid. I don't think that's possible. And it didn't look AI, because I'm always watching for that. But do you think that's possible?
It might be possible. There are people out there who really push the limits. I told you that I had to learn how to speedcube and attend local speedcubing competitions as research for this book. It is an amazing community of people. Many of them have helped me create custom tactile cubes because they have 3D printers that will print these tiny little plastic markings that we then super glue onto the cube, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
They've helped introduce me to new cubes, new puzzles that I'd never heard of before, and they helped me make tactile versions of those. Just a couple of days ago, I was honored to be the guest on a 9-year-old kid on YouTube named True Cuber.
Oh.
And this 9-year-old kid solves the Rubik's Cube on average in about 11 seconds.
Wow.
His best time at a competition is around 7 seconds.
Wow.
And so as amazing as this kid is, and what an honor it was for me to be on his show, when he goes to a competition, a local competition, and 80 kids in Colorado shows up, he places about 10th or 11th. Because there are that many people that are faster than him.
Wow.
Yes.
Holy cow.
So can I ask what your record is for you personally?
So when 80 or 90 people show up at a competition and you want to find me on the rankings, you scroll all the way down towards the bottom. My personal record at a competition with a judge breathing down my neck, watching every move, very tense, very nerve-wracking situation is 1:39, which I'm still very, very proud of.
That is still amazing.
But when I'm here at home and I'm reclined in my recliner with a blanket on my lap and maybe a cat and some nice gentle music playing in the background, I've hit 1 minute and 2.5 seconds. I'm not quite under a minute yet, but I'm going to keep trying. I know I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
To me, the amazing speed I compare it to musicianship. You go to a concert and you see a renowned pianist sit down at a piano and his fingers just fly across the piano and he plays these amazing arpeggios, hitting just the right notes at lightning speed. Same thing with guitar, right? Or even saxophone, hitting the keys. And you don't think anything of it. But for some reason, when someone solves the cube in 7 seconds, you go, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
And they're really very, very similar. I think you get into a flow state, you get into the zone, and everything just works just as it would for a professional musician.
Wow.
Wow. Good comparison. Good comparison.
And we are going to ask you more about your music.
Yeah.
I know you talked about you're a contributor to AppleViz, and now what are the other places where I know you do blog and write for?
So AppleViz is the main thing where you'll find my content.
Okay.
Most of the other stuff that I'm not writing programming books anymore. It's been 10 years since I coded, and I'm just not doing it anymore.
Okay.
But I volunteered to co-edit an anthology for Rocky Mountain fiction writers recently. That book is called Without Breaks, Fingers Crossed, and you can find that on Amazon. And I write science fiction short stories primarily, and you can find that, as I already mentioned, Sci-Fi Lampoon. I'm also at Amazing Stories magazine, Uncharted magazine. One of my stories is behind a paywall at Creepy Podcast. I wrote a ghost story. So that's it. But you have to be a subscriber.
I've actually heard of Creepy Podcast.
Okay, yeah, it's great. Yep. So I'm. There's a few other places where my stories are available online too. The best way to find out where all of my stories are available is to go to paulmartz.com. And I've got links to all of my stories and books available there.
Awesome. So I was going to actually ask you to kind of leap into, because seniors, and I'm getting there, actually, I've been reminded I've surpassed it, but is that memory loss is a thing. And they say if you don't use it, you lose it. And so I would think, not just for people who are blind and low vision, but I think people who are aging, that the Rubik's Cube is a great way. You know, they say, you should do crossword puzzles and things like this, but some of those things are not accessible. But the Rubik's Cube is something, and it doesn't take up, much space on your desk or your nightstand or wherever it is. And it'll even fit in your purse or your bag. You can take it anywhere, even on, riding public transportations, which is one of the reasons I loved the Rubik's Cube younger, and you've inspired me to pull mine out. I doubt if it's accessible, but I actually still have it in my upstairs. But it's something that you can do anywhere. It's quiet for the most part, unless you get really crazy, then you'll make a little bit of noise. But you can do it anywhere.
Thank you. Those are excellent points. Thanks for saying that, Penn. And I'm glad you found your old Rubik's Cube. And if you need help making it accessible, you know who to call.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And I want to get into the music, but just before that, going back to the very beginning when we could talk about how to mess with sighted people when you have your cane, is somebody does a big reaction, you stop, you pull out 2 Rubik cubes and say, let's see who's really blind, and you hand it to them.
Well, even going along with that, like I know you are competing against sighted people, but are there competitions specifically for the blind and low vision?
It's very hard to find blind Speedcubers, but I have found a group of 3 people that I'm in touch with by email.
Oh, good.
One guy does solve the cube blind. He's a law student in Australia. He doesn't have time to compete accessibly due to the demands of his school.
Right.
There's a woman in Germany who competes with a Rubik's Cube, and she's better than me by a good 15, 20 seconds. And then there's this young girl in Poland, a college student in Poland.
Oh, wow.
Her name is Karolina Put, KAROLINAPUT. And you can go on to worldcubeassociation.org and search for her name and look her up. She solves the Rubik's Cube in under 30 seconds, and she's totally blind.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
I know it's possible, right? It's possible. I just need to keep practicing. But yeah, this is the beginning of what I'm calling my cubing army, and we are going to dominate the world. Blind cubers unite! Yes.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm really going to have to dig it out of the dust and start again. Because it really is good for your brain. Like
it's great mental exercise and finger exercise too. Yeah.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
So let's get into the music because I'm a huge music fan.
Oh, great.
And so my first question is, you being in a band, how many hotel rooms have you trashed?
That is so funny. There was a gathering of people with RP just about a month ago in Denver. We call it the annual RP Social. And we stayed at the Curtis Hotel, and we rented the Rolling Stones suite as our hospitality room. And they had a framed letter hanging on the wall from a hotel in Fort Collins that enumerated the damages the Rolling Stones had done to their hotel room.
Oh, my goodness. That's awesome.
That's cool.
So, Moses, I played, I was most active in music in the 1980s. And at that time, alternative music was just getting started, but we didn't call it alternative then. We called it punk and new wave.
Yeah.
So in the 1980s, I was in school in Ann Arbor at U of M, and then worked at U of M for a few years. And during that time period, I was in several different bar bands that played around the Detroit and Ann Arbor area. And I never had to trash a hotel room, but maybe.
Okay, I have to ask, what were the name of the bands?
So I was in the Insects, but it was spelled INSEX.
Oh.
I was in the Mortals.
The Mortals.
The Mortals, yep, that was probably where we saw the most success. We actually put out a 45 RPM record, which for kids today, they had a big hole in the middle, and you put them on a record player with a needle, and and a couple of other bands. I was in a band called The Tenants, and I was in a band called I forget the name, something Sect, SECT. Yeah. So,
well, those first couple of names you could be proud of. Those are good. Those are good.
Those are good names.
I'm very proud that I'm a former punk rock drummer.
I know that is something you need to put in your bio.
Bars
actually.
Do you want to go ahead, or should I continue talking about the experience?
Go ahead.
Yeah, experience.
Bars are very dimly lit environments.
Oh no! Yes, they are.
This was at the time that I was having a little bit of depression in college, and I think it was triggered by trying to spend Friday and Saturday nights out in the bar scene, and not being able to function. But probably the most hilarious thing is that for that entire decade, the countless times I carried my drum set in and out of a dimly lit bar, no one was ever injured. So, yeah.
That's an
amazing.
Accomplishment.
That is amazing. Well, there's because how would you put it? When you get in a field, it opens doors to meeting some of your heroes. Did you get to meet some big name bands?
There was a new wave band called Game Theory out of California that was maybe the biggest band that I actually got to touch someone and tell them thanks for coming and I enjoyed your show. Like
That's awesome.
A little fanboy. Yeah, that was neat. But no, nobody ever really big. I was standing in line to see Billy Idol opening for Romeo Void. And before they opened the doors, Billy Idol drove by in a limo and stuck his head outside the window and yelled something in a drunken British accent that I didn't understand. So that was a pretty close brush with fame too. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Aww.
That is so cool. Well, this is we are hitting that limit, and so we got to save Jonathan some editing time. So what are some to get some thoughts out that you might have missed, or messages, and aside, obviously, definitely get out and check out all your books, but in particular, Rubik Cube one.
I definitely want to emphasize the Rubik's Cube book. I'm really pleased with how sales are going, but honestly, I want to see the sales stop. I want everyone to be able to get theirs through Bard and Bookshare. So please put in those requests for that book. And if you just can't wait because it's going to take 3 or 4 months, then please do a web search for Solve It by Paul Martz. And that will take you to at least my writer's page where there's a buy link, or the book's companion website where there's a buy link. And you'll find it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Apple Books. It's on Smashwords. It's a DRM-free EPUB from Smashwords. You can read it with any app you want. So it's pretty hard to not find it. So please do find it. And don't think that you can't solve the cube. But I'll tell you this. The cube isn't for everyone, whether you're sighted or blind. And if you decide after you try it for a while that it's just not for you, then spread the love. Give the EPUB to someone else and give your Tactile Cube for someone else, because I know that there are blind kids out there that want to solve the cube just as bad as some of these sighted competitors that I meet with every few months here in Colorado.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Paul. I also love how innovative this is. When I learned of what you're doing with the Rubik's Cube and that you had written this book, I was like, what?
Oh.
It's not something, I literally have not thought about my Rubik's Cube in decades.
A lot, Penn.
Yeah. And I'm like, that was something I really, really like to do. I'm going to dig it out again.
Cool. Please do. And please let me know how you get along with it. And like I said, definitely let me know if you need help making it accessible.
Okay, definitely will, Paul. And thank you, Paul, for taking time to be on with us. And also, like Moses said at the top of the hour, thank everybody for coming back week after week after week. We really, really appreciate it. The awards and the accolades that we get belong to all of us. They just happen to hang on our wall, but it belongs to all of us. So everybody check out Paul's. We will put in the show notes how to reach out to your local talking book library, NLS, so that you can request that. And because that really is how writers like Paul get their books transferred into the free editions for all of the blind and low vision world out there. So, and this week, please remember, take some time to be kind to yourself and find a way to be kind to somebody else. It's good for your soul.